Hello, Steeler Nation. It's been a while. Where's that guy Stryker been? He's been busy working at his company, making sure it's still viable, being the only activation company in town now. It's honestly been a heck of a run. But I am back to talk Steelers. We're approaching regular season. Literally a perfect preseason for Kenny Pickett in the first team offense. And I'm going to also extend on how geeked I am about how well the first team defense is looking and how well the special teams are looking. This is a three-phase team, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of times when people are picking like, oh, this team's going to win the division, this team's going to be the best team, it's usually because they either have a great offense or they have a great defense. Steelers are looking like they might have a great special teams. Their return teams are looking fantastic with McFarland on kickoffs, Austin coming back on punt returns, ripping off some great returns. Our punt coverage team is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. That whole fair catch thing where the guy runs up to like the 10 or 15 yard line, not biting on it one bit. Presley Harvin's putting that ball inside the 5 and our team's catching it. That is huge. Those are field flipping plays. And if we can get our defense in front of those plays, we're getting turnovers. We're starting the turnover machine early this year. So I'm super psyched to see how this team is going to be working in all three phases, especially the way Kenny Pickett is delivering. I want to hear what you guys have to think as well, obviously as well. Robert C. Oh, man, bring back Cope. He's here. He's here, Robert C. Houston in the house. Our resident Cougar fan is in the house. I'm all in this team. Me too, Miles. I am geeked about how well this team is looking right now, especially since Kenny is perfect. 5 for 5 Kenny Pickett drives. 1 drive, Tampa Bay game touchdown. 2 drives in the Buffalo game. A beautiful pitch and catch to Pat Freiermuth, which looked like a Brady to Gronk play. That's how easy it looked. Got the linebacker turned, fitted in right in front of the safety. I've seen that play against us more time than I've ever seen Ben throw that ball perfectly. That was a perfectly thrown ball to Pat Freiermuth in the Buffalo game. This game, it seems like we were hitting the run. Biggest throw was obviously that 3rd and 5 down the sideline to Deontay Johnson in the basket. Perfect toss. When KP released that ball, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a big play. I'm confident now watching Kenny Pickett, and I can't wait to see how he continues to improve moving into the regular season. Miles is a great take. Love this. I think Nick Herbig might be my favorite draft pick. Absolute steal. Absolute steal in the 3rd round. I don't know if it's because we brought in his brother that we started to look at the tape on Nick Herbig. Nate's like, you got to look at my brother. He's really got good tape. I don't know if it's TJ Watt, because TJ Watt goes to Wisconsin, works with the Badgers, shows them some pass rushing moves. But looking at Nick Herbig's tape, just strictly looking at the tape, coming into the draft, like I thought that his tape looked like a 1st, 2nd rounder. The speed that he got off the line of scrimmage, the amount of different moves he had off the line to get to the quarterback, ghost rushes, crossovers, bull rush moves, utilizing his speed, finesse, power to do whatever he can to get to that quarterback, make plays in the backfield. Absolute steal and might be the best pick in the draft. I know PFF already put out he's the highest rated player in preseason as a rookie that is not a 1st rounder. So that is high praise for Nick Herbig coming into this league on fire. I mean, we've been trying to find a serviceable 3rd outside linebacker for years, and we got a great one too that we picked up. The name escapes me. I know Caleb's going to be joining us here soon. He'll be able to help me out and grab those names. But like, I'm just geeked that it looks like we're going to be 4 deep in our outside linebacker rotations to keep Watt fresh and to keep Highsmith, our newly paid Highsmith, fresh. So really, really exciting times coming up here. And with no further ado, I've got to introduce one of the biggest hearts of Steeler Nation. Bleeds black and gold like everybody else. big on the big podcast, also with D Gray, my friend and yours, Caleb Everhart, who's been working hard, doing great interviews all off season. Caleb, welcome to the show. Happy to have you, my friend. How have you been?
How do I follow that introduction? that was great. That was amazing.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, man, because we always get along. I know I had you on the draft show. We talked a bit too. I've been meaning to get on your show a couple times, but I've just been so busy this summer. Haven't had a chance to jump on any of your great shows. I've been watching them in delay, obviously, on YouTube and that. And I know so have the fans here, Steeler Nation, because we are strong when we want to know what's going on. But what are your thoughts? I want to hear what you're thinking about right now after watching this game and just your overview of how the Steelers are looking here this preseason.
I mean, the first team offense is batting 1,000.
Right.
They've scored a touchdown
5 for 5.
time they've been out there.
Right. It'll continue this season. We'll have like 122 touchdowns this season. That's great. I can't wait for it.
We're never not going to score a touchdown this year. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be glorious. It's
right.
But I mean, it's like I was talking to my dad, and I was in this Twitter Steeler Nation Spaces earlier, and it's just like this team. It just has a different feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I know we all talk ourselves up every year to get to that feeling, but it feels like we don't have to do that this year. We don't have to talk ourselves into it this year.
No.
Like they're showing it. And granted, they did what they did to Atlanta today.
Right.
But I mean, it was the backup, so they should do that. We should have a shutout against when we have our starters playing. I think it was 2 series, and I mean, man, it's exciting. It seems like Matt Canada's finally opening up the playbook where Ben isn't calling the plays, and now he's not, as they say, handcuffed by a rookie quarterback.
Right.
And Kenny's really stepped up from what we've seen so far in these games that do not count.
Yeah, Robert's on it too. Offense can't be stopped. An undefeated season. Here we come. And this is a good point too. The new the new inside linebackers are kicking some butt. And they really are, like Landon Roberts, Quan Alexander. I mean, like, we've been throwing former Jacksonville inside linebackers at the wall every year. With Schobert, with friggin' Miles Jack, hoping something sticks. But this year it actually looks like we've got some players that can actually make plays and that are playing downhill, hitting the gaps hard, getting to the spaces and making tackles in the backfield. Like, that's the stuff we were expecting to see out of Bush. And we did in his rookie year. We did when he was healthy for the first half of his second year too, but then when he came back, he never really got to that downhill mentality again, like we're starting to see with these guys coming on the field. So to me, it's really exciting to see. What do you see, and who do you think are going to be the starters?
So it's funny you say that, because in our last episode of the 3-Point Stance, we talked about this subject, and my co-host put out a controversial tweet out there saying, "Is this the greatest linebacker room of all time?" But
we're 4 deep at outside linebacker now. Like, that's sick. Like, it's amazing that we fired our entire inside linebacker room. Fired Oslavsky, our inside linebacker coach, and our inside linebackers are markedly better this year after what we did in free agency and the draft. And this is just really exciting to see. And you continue your thoughts, please.
Yeah, and that's what on that same podcast.
Is that a touchdown? Do we just? Oh no, that's replays of the touchdown. Sorry.
Yeah, I was. I brought up, like, I feel like this is our best inside linebacker room since Shazier and Vince.
Wow.
And that's just the mentality, like you said. They're charging the ball. They're, plugging the holes. They're doing what they need to. And, maybe that's due to, better defensive tackle play than we've seen in the past, few years. Fioco's been out there. He's at least, getting double teamed anytime he's in there. Benton looks great. Adams is Adams. He's actually a guy that I could see being cut.
And isn't that odd?
Yeah,
our former starting at like nose tackle, but that can definitely happen.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's like I like Holcomb a lot. He kind of can do it all.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah.
he's not like a top tier athlete, but he is an athlete.
Right.
And then obviously Quan Alexander is, Mark Robinson, but Quan has that experience. He has that
Right.
level of play. I mean, they hit. He's fast.
Right.
And then Elandon Roberts looked like this was his best day today. There was
Yeah.
one
Yep.
drive where it seemed like he was on the ball 24/7.
Every time, yeah, he made that play in the backfield and turned around and made the play hitting the receiver, back to
Yeah.
back plays on that same series. It's like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, he's
Yep.
all over the place.
Yeah, it was it's good to see. I mean, you expect that though. The Steelers were interested in him whenever he was coming out of the draft.
Right.
He ended up being a Patriot, sadly. But I mean, at the same time, he was a Patriot and he learned from Belichick, who's, one of the greatest defensive minds in NFL history. And he plays smart. He's like, obviously he's not going to be your every down linebacker at this point in
Right.
his career, but as far as the running game goes, he's about as solid as they come. As
Right.
far as that, and then you throw in Mark Robinson in there, and he's got
Yeah.
potential, and he's showing that he is possibly going to be the guy we hope he's going to be.
Right.
And
Right.
then, and then you throw in Tanner Muse and Nick Kwiatkowski, and it's so deep.
It's going to be a tough cut day. I'll tell you that. People were yelling at me when I'm like, free agency's coming up. There's only 4 guys I wanted to keep. Marcus Allen was not one of them. I went back and forth a couple times with Steeler Nation. It's like, guys, he is what he is. He's strictly a special teamer. He's never going to make plays on defense. He's a good special teamer, not a game-breaking special teamer. So I don't want to spend money on a third contract for a guy that's going to be a good special temer.
I thought he was a good locker room guy too, and I think that
definitely
a little bit. Like he brought. It seemed like I think we've all seen like after the games and we win, he's walk in your trap, take over your trap videos and everything like that. Like he was the hype guy. It seemed like for the Steelers the past few years.
Right.
And I think I'm not going to say that's the reason why he was on the team, but I'm sure that plays a little bit into it.
Yeah. Yoder, welcome to the show. Back to hard-nosed, smash-mouth Pittsburgh Steelers football. Let's go Steelers. And that's
he didn't see the NFL.com tweet then because they called us Dime City.
Yeah, right. But it seems like that was the attack that Tomlin wanted to take for this game, especially with Atlanta playing their backups. Can we go out and assert the ground game and score? And 17 points, 17-0, and like before the first quarter was over, essentially. I mean, 2 drives straight down the field for KP.
Yeah.
Trubisky comes down. We get a field goal out of the second drive, and then score a touchdown with McFarland's second touchdown of the night. Or do you have 2 on the ground? Yeah, because it was Najee with 1 and then McFarland with 2.
No, Jay. So it was Najee, then Jay. All 3 running backs scored.
Oh, Warren got 1 too. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's even better. Those are the 3 we're keeping, guys.
Yeah. I 100%.
No brainer.
Yeah. I mean, McFarland's kind of he's progressed every year.
Right.
I was surprised that he got cut last year. Obviously, we kept him and got him on the practice squad, but I thought he had one of his better preseasons of his career last year, and I was surprised that he didn't make the team.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, he stayed on the practice squad, and we were able to bring him back in and utilize his talents.
Like Derwin and I have talked about this, and
he played with Derwin over at University of Maryland, so he knows him well.
Yeah.
He blocked for the guy.
He's a big Ant Mac guy, and he's a big Matt Canada guy too, because Matt Canada coached him at Maryland too.
as well. Yeah, the connection is there. The Testudo runs strong in those veins. I'm in the Maryland area. I know all the Maryland jokes.
Yeah.
Miles in as well. We need to give props to Canada for finally using the middle of the field and throwing the deep balls. Guys, this is just the natural progression. Caleb mentioned it earlier in the show. We had Ben, who was waning at the end of career, could not get the ball downfield, had to get the ball out quickly. We had a rookie quarterback, had to condense the playbook for the guy to make him efficient. And he was efficient. And that was a bonus that I gave to Canada last year that the rest of Steeler Nation did not, was finding a way to win games with a rookie quarterback. And we went, 8-1 down or 8-2 down the stretch to finish with a winning record, where we should have had a losing record, 7-2 or 8-2. I forget. It's right around there.
7-2. Yeah.
7-2. Thank
Yeah.
you, Caleb.
Joe
I knew you were searching in your
Flacco.
brain, so I knew my numbers
Yeah.
were off a skosh. That's how I know how to read my co-host. But yes, I mean, you have to give him the credit in that respect. He did what we had to do with the personnel that we had. Of course, fortunately, Najee was coming on stronger at the back half of the season, being injured with that plate in his foot, or the plate in his shoe and the insole for the entire first half of the season, taking it out at the break and then coming back and being a strong running back from that point on. We rode Najee, limited, didn't have to rely on Kenny Pickett, and then Kenny Pickett found a way to win games at the end of the year. So this is going to be a much more fun year, getting Austin back, having all this talent across the board. And the biggest point I want to make for all of these preseason games, and it's something that I've always really loved about Tomlin, but this year more so, the entire team, all the skill players, all of your Pro Bowlers, all of your All Pros going into the season 100% healthy.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I don't think there was any because obviously Kendrick Green started the game, so everybody was super nervous. So
Right.
that just shows how
He did
good this
fine.
offense can be because we scored 2 touchdowns. Kendrick Green
and running, and it was a rushing game. So great point with that too, Caleb.
Yeah, and it's the injury thing that's huge. I mean, we've had some hiccups here and there. I think Nate Herbig's still dealing with something. But yeah, I know James Daniels and Kevin Dotson didn't play today, but I think that was I'm gonna be honest. I think they did that to get some tape for the other teams for Kendrick Green to try and trade him before they ultimately cut him, because I think Steven Anderson should make the team over Kendrick Green just off. I mean, they both can play, multiple positions, but Anderson has shown he can play tackle, guard, center, other guard, other tackle.
Right.
He can play the whole. He can play, and that's another Maryland guy that we had.
Right.
And I mean, any reports that comes out about him, it's like it doesn't seem like he's a rookie when it's out there. It doesn't like fluster him or anything like that.
Right. No, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. I know it's been a while. I'm back. The 412 great podcast as well over there at DK Pittsburgh Sports. I know I used to be over there as well. Miles, the growth of Kenny is elite level. He's going to be great for us. Pickens is a top 10 receiver. Najee and Warren are thunder and lightning. And then you have McFarland after that too. Yes.
Yeah.
The O-line is finally elite level. Our tight ends are dope. Don't even sleep on Connor Hayward that can get thrown into that tight end area.
And the running back room.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about Washington yet, who's going to be a red zone threat. I was trying to figure out who they're going to sit and be inactive on game day. And now I'm starting to think like Gentry might be inactive on game day. Just from a skill level position, Gentry might be inactive on game day. He's our number 2 tight end.
I think there's a chance. I think Washington's our number 2 tight end as we sit here right now. I think it was as soon as he was drafted. I mean, I don't know if Gentry makes a team. I could see Rodney Williams making the team. Hey, Miles. Good. How are you?
The draft show unites.
But yeah, I could see Rodney Williams making the team over Gentry if we were to keep 4 tight ends. Calvin Austin, get me started. He's special. Yeah, Calvin Austin is going to be we're going to start.
He's not a Dree Archer. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But yeah, I've got to at least start saying like I'm really liking, because we were talking about our skill player. We're talking about Pickens. We're talking about DJ. We're talking about the tight ends. We're talking about the running backs. But now we've got like these tertiary guys. Like we are deep everywhere on this roster. Like we've got 2 Pro Bowl level receivers starting. Robinson backing up is a Pro Bowl level receiver. Excellent production throughout his entire career. You look at Mitchell Trubisky's highlight film on the Bears, it is all Robinson making insane catches. The guy's catch radius is sick. I love having this style of player on the team. Also finally gives us a player to have just in case DJ misses a game, because DJ missed a game these last 2 years. Our offense bogged. We couldn't move the football. We couldn't get a receiver open. We had Cody White trying to run the X. Now we have a guy in Robinson that can legitimately run the X if Cody goes down. And I'm confident Pickens can even switch over and run the X
Well,
if you
then,
want to have Austin over at Y.
yeah, because
So
I mean, you could like as far like if Deontay, like let's say like Deontay gets hurt, he misses a game.
Mhm.
Calvin's a route runner,
Mhm.
and he
Yep.
runs in my opinion, he's a 4-2 guy, not what they clocked him at the combine.
Exactly. No, so that's what I say too. Every time I talk about Calvin Austin, he's a 4-2 guy, not a 4-3, 4-2 guy, not a 4-4 guy.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
and I mean he's shown what he can do on punt returns. I mean, I
Mhm.
think he had like it seems like he's at least getting 10 yards anytime he returns the
Exactly.
ball. And I mean,
Spot
I
on.
feel like we're going to be starting in really good field position anytime he has to return a punt.
Right.
Like he's so fast. I'm not saying he's Tyreek Hill or anything like that, but you got to remember how Tyreek Hill started his career. He was just, hey, go down the field and run, and return the ball.
Well, we had a guy like that too in Mike Wallace, the one
Yeah,
trick pony, and he had one trick, but he did it really well. Mike Wallace's numbers, I was tracking them his first 3 years in the league. He was projected. He was actually keeping pace with Jerry Rice in his first 3 years in the league.
yeah. I
And
mean,
then his
both
4th year,
guys.
he kind of like took it down a notch because it was he didn't want to get hurt. It didn't seem like he was fighting for balls as much. But the guy was shorter, just got open with speed, and that is something we're seeing now with Calvin Austin again. And it's always fun to see a guy like that that can get open and break a big play for the team.
Yeah, and that I think the difference between Mike and Calvin is Calvin has a better route tree because I mean,
True, true.
really, we only saw Mike run a slant, go, or
Post. Those are the three.
post or
And if,
screen,
yeah.
and then I mean he did have that touchdown catch against Green Bay
Mhm.
at the end of the game, but I
Yeah.
mean that's
Yeah, that was technically a hitch out on that
yeah.
touchdown catch. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, majority of the time, those were the 4 routes we saw him run.
Right.
And I mean, I think going in last year's draft, Calvin Austin, in my opinion, was one of the, if not the top route runner in that draft, one of the top route runners in that draft. Because I mean, he was cooking people at the Senior Bowl that year.
Miles, this is an interesting question for the draft this year. What position do you think they target, and how do you see this team's performance this preseason? I'll tell you one thing that I love about this team. This team is so freaking deep right now. Like, I really don't see a big need on this team other than we're getting close. We might have to replace Hayward soon. Maybe use a
But
first rounder on a
we got
defensive
we, we
end.
got we got Liao
We do have Leal. We do have Loudermilk and Watts as well are doing really well this preseason. We got good depth there.
and
Ogunjobi is there
potentially
as well.
defensive end as
Sorry,
well.
sorry, what's that too?
And Benton, he can he's kind of the same size, but I prefer him at the defensive tackle. I
I
mean,
love him at
he's
defensive tackle.
yeah, he's proven. But yeah,
So
I'm optimistic in the future of the defensive line.
yeah,
I don't know if they'll have to really invest many draft picks into that in the upcoming future, I guess.
yes. So for me, at least for a first round pick, it's trying to replace age or fit a need or somebody leaving in free agency. Like we still have our receivers locked down, running backs are still locked down, tight ends are still locked down on rookie contracts. Quarterback obviously is going to be locked down for a while. Offensive line you can always build. Defensive line you can always build. And then you're talking about maybe trying to get a special player at inside linebacker or corner. So if you're putting my feet to the fire right now, Miles, about who we're going to draft, who would we draft in the first round next year? Best bets would be either offensive or defensive line or cornerback. I think that might be just because Patrick Peterson is older. I don't know how he's going to be this year. If he plays like he did last year and we get 2 years out of him, I'll be ecstatic,
Yeah,
ecstatic. But I'm not going to rely on an older guy being able to do that stuff. Like Hayden did it for us too, and I was happy he was able to do it. I'm not going to like bet the farm on the guy, because I am a realist when it comes to these types of things. Those are the things I'm thinking about. But this team has locked down our core defense. Fitzpatrick just got a new contract. TJ got a new contract. Highsmith got a new contract. We've got our skill players on defense set, minus the corners. Just drafted Porter. I think Porter is going to be a player.
and
I'm
don't
excited.
don't forget about Trice. I know he's hurt.
Exactly. Oh,
He's out for the year, but I mean, he was a guy that was getting a lot of hype before his injury.
exactly.
So, I
And he
mean,
was on the up, and he was looking great in preseason, making plays, making interceptions, knocking balls down. Love to have Trice back. And you're right. If Trice is back and doing well, maybe we don't have to draft a corner then. Great call. Next one up. Hugh, welcome to the team. I'm worried that our coaches aren't growing mustaches. Thoughts? I don't know if I ever want to see Tomlin with a mustache.
I don't want to see Can't.
Maybe Canada could pull off a mustache.
You think so with his ball?
Bald head and a mustache works. I think bald head, because you get facial hair always pulls the eyes down from the top of the head. Yeah, to me that could work.
I'm trying to think who's like Terrell Austin. No. Aaron Curry, probably not. Grady Brown, no.
Nope.
I think that is the only one.
Brian Brown, welcome back, man. It's been a while. When Quincy Roche is your worst edge rusher, you're in good shape. And Quincy Roche making that big play at the end of the game with the sack fumble, ripping the guys. Unfortunately, Woodside's tendon, it looks like, might have damaged that tendon in his arm. And I worry about any quarterback going up against this outside linebacker crew. We saw it happen to Brock Purdy in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. I don't know if that's going to be in the back of the mind of them, San Francisco coming in week 1, because this team can get after you.
Yeah. I remember when the offseason started, we were like, oh, Bud Dupree's coming back.
Right.
And then we didn't get Bud Dupree. We signed Marcus Golden. We're like, oh, okay, Marcus Golden's been dominating.
Right.
Like he's looked really like him and Herbig could start as a tandem on most teams.
Right.
The way Herbig has looked, I mean,
jeez. Herbig's looked unblockable. Like, he's going up against ones, he's going up against twos, he's going up against three. It doesn't matter. Nobody can stop him. He's so quick off the line of scrimmage.
His first rep last week against Buffalo against Deion Dawkins, he absolutely pushed him back 3 yards and then runs right by him. And he either almost got the sack or did get the sack.
He put the pressure on and forced an incompletion in that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's everything we hoped for. Like, everybody was like, he could be a TJ Watt. I mean, it's looking like he can be a TJ Watt.
Right. Robert, does Gunner get booted? Yes, especially the way we've seen Austin playing these last couple games. And I know Gunner is the favorite target of Mitchell Trubisky. They work really well together. Problem is, like, to me, Gunner is a better Switzer. But Switzer didn't give much to the team outside of special teams. And when it came to being a receiver, if you're telling to me, like, who do I want for my last receiver spot? First 4 are locked. DJ, Pickens, Austin, and Robinson. Now you got 3 guys pretty much fighting for that last spot, and they're all special teams guys.
Well, are we keeping 5 or 6 receivers?
I think we're keeping 5, personally. Mm-hmm. And that's going to come down to a special teams player. Usually it's Boykin, but I'll tell you, a guy that's pushing Boykin now is Des Fitzpatrick. That's a guy we got to talk about now, guys, because he's made 2 plays in special teams where he's down in punts that would be touchbacks.
Yeah.
Perfectly. Like, the guy gets it. That's a guy you want out in the field. And that's a guy that might beat out Boykin just because of the contract value. Steelers will get to save a little bit more money against the cap if they choose Dez over Boykin. But regardless, Steelers are looking to keep that guy on, or if it's Dez on the practice squad if he does not make the roster. But I think he could be a surprise for the 5th Steeler receiver.
Yeah, and that's I mean, I was gonna say the same thing. If they keep 6, I think it's Boykin and Fitzpatrick, because like you said, Fitzpatrick's shown that he can be the special teams guy, and I mean, that's really, I mean, the only way I could see Gunner making the team is based off his relationship with Kenny. And that's exactly why Ryan Switzer, as Eli Rogers was tweeting a few weeks ago, that's the reason why Switzer made the team over him.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can see that, coming into, the light. But I mean, we know what Boykins is. He is a good receiver whenever he's out there. I mean, he's tall, big, and then we know Fitzpatrick's really fast, and he's shown that he can do the special team stuff too. which is, like we said, like why Benny Snell, made the initial 53 last year over Anthony McFarland, because Benny Snell was a top special teamer. Anthony McFarland wasn't really
A little banged up coming back from injury, special teams player. Yeah, good call. But Hugh, next up, it's cool to think that we will be getting rid of guys at cut that will be picked up by other teams. Lots of talent here. And I do love that. I mean, we just talked about Snell. Snell's up there with the Colts right now. Didn't really get to see what's going on with too much with the Colts Eagles game because it was going on at the same time as ours. So I'm not sure where he is in the rotation. But I'm always excited when Steelers do well on other teams. Also, we have Edmonds in that game as well. Miles Jack would have been in that game if he didn't just retire.
Yep.
Playing for the Eagles. We had a couple guys over there. I always like to root for Steelers no matter where they go. I have them on the show. I talk to a lot of these guys. And they're professionals. They're athletes. Like they're trying to extend their careers no matter how they can do it. And it's nice, like a guy like Quincy Roche going to the Giants and we get him back. Like everybody's like, oh, we lost Quincy Roche. Oh, we're the worst ever. And it's like it's the only draft pick we didn't keep in like 2 drafts. Everybody loses their mind that we let Quincy Roche go when we kept Jones instead. And unfortunately, Jones again is now off the team again when we keep bringing him back. But yeah, we've got Roche now. Roche may be our practice squad guy, may get poached by another team because we are so deep at outside linebacker. Like we mentioned, even you guys earlier in the comments, just stating that the talent is there at the outside linebacker. So we're only keeping 4. So Quincy is probably not going to be on this team, and he's going to be a great addition to another team if we are not lucky enough to bring him back on the practice squad.
Maybe we'll get lucky the second time around.
Yeah. Miles, Keanu Benton is actually crazy. He just plugs the holes, so destructive. We literally did not have a miss in this draft. It's crazy. Absolutely. Like you were just talking about Spencer Adams. Like he's going to be Spencer Anderson. He's going to be making the team. I can always read your face anytime. That's why I love having you on the show, because I can read your face as soon as I make a misspeak. Like I had Caleb on the show. Caleb would just yell at me every time I misspoke. I could just read your face. Come on, Stryker. You know the name. I do. I misspeak all the damn time, but I know my crap. Great point about Keanu Benton. Like I am loving, honestly, and it was the way, even draft day, you guys were on the draft day show. You guys saw what was going on. Everybody, like the way we were picking the drafts, we were like, we wanted Joey Porter Jr. in the first round. We wanted Washington in the second round. We wanted a nose tackle in the third round. And then what happens? Everybody fell to us. We even moved up in the first round to get a top 3 left tackle, which we haven't got a top 3 left tackle since the 60s.
I can't remember if we traded. It was the third round, because we traded back a pick in the third round. That's where we got the Herbig pick.
We got rid of our 4th round pick. I thought we eliminated our.
That was for the Broderick pick. Yes. And then there was a point in the third round where we traded back.
Yes.
And that's where we got the Herbig pick. And then Washington fell to
us. Washington. Yeah. We couldn't believe it. We were on draft day. We were already talking about it. It's like, how is Washington dropping like skill wise? I mean, yes. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I was looking at a lot of these things pre-draft. I was looking at a lot of the production numbers from the top tight ends in the draft, according to, all the metrics from, NFL Network, ESPN, all those places that do that stuff. Washington was up there. Washington's a top 3, consensus, top 2, 3, 4 tight end in this draft. But his production numbers are crap, like very low touchdowns, very low numbers, but his size to speed ratio, and you look at the film and then you see how he blocks. And that's like, that is a player that the Steelers love to have. And you got to think about back when the Steelers were grabbing those types of like excellent blocking tight ends, we'd usually get them right around round 3, round 4, but they could only block. They couldn't go down the field and catch passes. They couldn't be a threat in the red zone. And that is huge. Like, it seems like we've adopted, and I've always loved the way the Eagles have drafted here these last 4 or 5 years, and bringing it back in Andy Weidel has just been an absolute godsend for our late round draft picks, because that's when the Eagles always throw at the wall for, injury potential to be a great player, which is why we got Trice. Offensive, defensive hogs that are they're position flexible and that are athletic, but maybe to a smaller school or maybe don't get the notoriety of other teams. And that's how we get a guy like Anderson. So it's like, I love the mindset and the where we're going. So we're not wasting those picks on a punter. We're not wasting those picks on a long snapper. And we're bringing people in that look like they now might be making the roster, even though we drafted them in the 7th round.
Yeah, and you brought up like Darnell's production in college. I mean, it also doesn't help that he's with, who's supposedly one of the best tight end prospects of all time. Is how they're hyping up. I think Brock Bowers, I think's his name.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean that kind of hurt him and everything like that. But I mean, I'm glad it hurt him because we got him now. So
right. Nice. Then you let me know whenever you got to go. If you're ready to go, you got to get going there, Caleb.
Yeah, our DoorDash orders.
Nice. What you before you go? I got to know what you ordered.
We got Taco Bell.
Yes.
And my wife and I got the grilled cheesesteak burritos. I got a soft taco and a Dr. Pepper, and she got cinnamon twist.
Oh, what a beautiful post-game 4th meal for the Everhart family. Caleb, thank you so much for joining the show as always. You're always welcome with me, my friend, and thank you for joining the show.
Glad to have you back, Stryker.
Yep. Enjoy your run to the bell. Dong, baby.
All right. See you, brother.
See you, bro. Bye. All right, guys, we're back. Miles, thank you so much for that question. Getting back here to the comments. I know we're all rolling here pretty good. And now I can go through a little quicker since I don't have him on the show. Thank you all for joining the show. I know it's been a while for me to be on here. I haven't been on pretty much since draft day. Tried to jump on, but we didn't want to have two contrasting drafts for the schedule release party. And then since then, I just had to work. So outside of that, I'm back. I'm back for the season. Going to be more weekly, maybe trying to do twice a week, maybe one a Q&A, one an actual podcast. We'll see how it works out, but I'll be here a bit more. Miles, what's your observation of Joey Porter Jr. this preseason? He's big. He's rangy. He can hang with anybody. Love the fight in that dog. He's got his dad's fight. And that's what I always loved about Joey Porter Sr. No game was too big for Joey Porter. That run in 2005, he was the mouthpiece of the team. Everybody rallied and got behind him, even though he threw up bulletin board material every freaking week. Calling out that tight end Alexander in Seattle for the Super Bowl. Owned him. Absolutely owned him in that game. That's the type of thing that I like out of Joey Porter. And I'm seeing that especially in the battles between he and Pickens. He does not shy to those battles. He's not going to win them all because athleticism is going to win out no matter what on certain plays. Sometimes an athletic player is going to make a play, guys. But Joey Porter Jr. is an athlete. Loved him getting that monkey off his back, getting that first interception in Pittsburgh against Buffalo. That was a big play for him, stepping in front to grab that ball. I'm expecting to see more out of him because in college, they didn't want to throw his way at Penn State. In the NFL, they're going to try to throw his way. They're going to try to utilize him and see if this rookie can make plays first because they know they got Patrick Peterson on that other side. So I don't know if I want to throw toward Patrick Peterson. He just had 5-6 interceptions last year. We'll throw to Joey Porter Jr., a guy that didn't get an interception at all last year. We'll see what he does. So if he starts picking off balls, making plays, we'll see. I don't even know who's going to start yet. It still may be Wallace and Peterson. But at Peterson, it already looks like when they jump into the dime, Peterson jumps into the slot, Porter goes to the outside. He's going to get a lot of play. He's going to take his lumps this season as well. But I am hoping he does more positives than negatives, and that's all you can hope for the first year of a rookie quarterback. In my opinion, a first-round rookie quarterback, number 32 pick in the draft. Unfortunately, on paper, though, it goes down as a second-round cornerback. Awesome pick. So glad we got him. So glad the Ravens passed on him so that he's got a chip on his shoulder when we see those dirty birds twice a year. Absolutely love it because his dad hated the Ravens. That's bred in that family. So I can't wait to see him play the birds when we go up against them because as good of a quarterback as Lamar Jackson is, we know he knows how to throw picks. So hoping for that. Brian Brown, there's going to be a lot of battered, dejected quarterbacks on the Steelers opponents this year. This defense is what's elite. How's everyone going to score on them? Yeah, how's anyone going to score on them? That's what I love. That's why I said this is a complete three-phase team, Brian. 3 phases. Our special teams is just as sick as our defense, which I was expecting. Absolutely expecting the defense to be a top 3 defense this year. Everybody healthy, Watt coming back, Highsmith coming back, and that's before we knew what we had in Nick Herbig. That's insane. Like the rich are getting richer. As much as they say the Steelers know how to draft wide receivers, now they're going to have to say the Steelers know how to draft outside linebackers, because Highsmith should have made the damn Pro Bowl last year. Absolute travesty that he did not make the Pro Bowl, and it sickens me. Absolutely sickens me. He had better stats than anybody else, other than one other person that made Pro Bowl for the AFC at outside linebacker. More sacks, led the league in forced fumbles. The guy should have had a seat at the Pro Bowl. Absolutely rips me. Makes me just about as mad as when TJ Watt did not get Defensive Player of the Year. Should have been a 2-time, two years in a row, when they gifted it to the former Pittsburgh Panther out there in the Rams. But absolutely TJ Watt's year both of those years. And I expect TJ Watt to be back again and win another DPOY before his career's up. Miles, you're right. He isn't a Tyreek Hill. He's better than Tyreek Hill. Love that. Miles, please. CA3 is no Tank Dell. I'm going to be rooting for Tank Dell. I want to root for these small. I know he's severely undersized. Way smaller than Hill. Way smaller than Austin, but I still want to see him succeed. He's more Dre Archer range, and I'd love to see a guy like that succeed. Would have loved to get him in the later rounds. I thought he went a little quicker than where the Steelers were willing to get him, and they were about the same spot. Wow, Stryker brought up Loudermilk. You guys are bastards. I got Loudermilk. Yep. I don't know if he's going to make the team. That last slot, that is such a competitive defensive line this year. I personally think Loudermilk will just over Watts, because that last spot is coming down to Watts and Loudermilk. It is. And we're going to have to see what our coaching staff thinks is going to be there and who they think they can stash on the practice squad. I think Watts has a better chance of getting stashed on the practice squad than Loudermilk, but that's me. But Loudermilk may be cut. And if he is, I'll ask him to be on the show. Patrick Paul, offensive tackle, will be coming out of UH. Nice. Is he play left or right, Robert? I want to know that. The draft, the season hasn't even started. Brian, we're talking about it. That's what the show's about. It's about questions and answers. You guys give me the questions. I give you the answers. Miles, these announcers for the game, I couldn't stand them. Kept saying our number ones were playing against their 2s and 3s every single drive. And that's fine, because we saw, honestly, Atlanta was a freaking dumpster fire last year. Their ones last year were as good as most teams' 2s. So the announcers were right. We were playing their 2s, which are really like most teams' 3s. So that's the way you have to take that as a grain of salt. Of course, we expect our first team offense to get 2 touchdowns on a backup defense. It happened. But we also got 2 first quarter touchdowns with our first team offense against one of the best defenses in the league in Buffalo last week. I will take that to the bank more so than worry about what announcers have to say to keep people watching while we're blowing teams out in the first quarter in the preseason. I'm psyched. This is the best preseason we've ever had. Ben has never had Ben always started season slow. Why? Because he's an athletic player. He's not a practice guy. He's not a film guy. He's going to be a coach. I don't think he's going to be a good coach. That's just my own personal opinion. I love Ben to death. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks to play in the league. I think his athleticism was unmatched. And I think that's what separated him from other people on the field before he started to slow down his game after 2011, 2017. He made a nice run again. But once he had his elbow injury, I wasn't expecting much out of him when he got back. He did have that great run with a 10-0 to start the season that one year. And then the schedule just got all wonky with COVID and everything. Ben got banged up. We never returned to form. But I take that with a grain of salt. Hugh, Special teams look amazing. What do you attribute this improvement to? It's multi-phasic, Hugh. Usually it has to do with the people that you're bringing in talent-wise to compete for positions on the field. But as you know, the Steelers and the coaches always say, you make this team on special teams. If you're a new player, you're a rookie, undrafted rookie, free agent, you make this team on special teams. We brought in a butt ton of talent this year. Free agency and the draft and unrestricted free agency or undrafted rookie free agency. All of them. Like, we actually spent more money this year, than we did the previous year when we had more money going into the season because Ben's contract came off the salary cap, so we could spend 2 years ago. I was expecting a big expenditure last year. This year, we just kept spending. Spend. We didn't have a hole going into the draft. Previous 2 years, we didn't have a starting strong safety going into those drafts. We ended up bringing in Edmonds after the draft. This year, we already had Keanu Neal on the roster. We already had KZ on the roster. We were locked down before we even hit the draft. Because I was like, oh, we're going to draft safety in the first round. That's why I thought we were going to get that guy that the Patriots swapped with us and ended up getting. Like, it was draft day. I was like, oh, we're going to get that guy. That's the guy we're going to target and get. But we didn't have to. We have Neal. We have KZ. I love KZ. I love Neal. Love those guys. I loved Carl Joseph as well. But I think Carl Joseph is done playing now, unfortunately. Guys that can hit, guys that can make plays, not guys that stand there and tackle after you catch the ball. That was my only problem with Edmonds. Edmonds is a good tackler. He's better in the run game. I didn't think he was as good as the passing game. Didn't make plays on the ball in the air. Very few interceptions. Whereas KZ knocks people out in the air. Neal will undercut you and flip you over in the air. Like, these are the guys I love. Not a guy that watches you catch the ball, grab you, and take you to the ground after you catch it. That's not the type of player I want playing safety on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Miles, Gunner has been really solid this preseason, though. He absolutely has. And there is an argument to put Gunner on this team. I just think with the way Austin has been playing special teams, Gunner has lost his position because that was the only place you could put Gunner. Gunner is only a kick and punter. Only. I mean, and depth receiver. Outside, but you're getting way more talent at receiver with Austin. Austin is a legit 2-3 receiver on this team. Same thing with Robinson, legit 2-3 receiver on this team. And these guys are our 3-4 receivers. That's how thick we are at receiver this year. This is the thickest top 4 I've ever seen since we had Quincy Morgan as our 4th receiver. And that was back in 2005. Sammy Coates could be another candidate as being a really talented 4th who became our 3rd with some injuries that one year. So, but still, I think as a 4th, I think Austin, if we got to talk about it, are Austin and Robinson better than Sammy Coates? Yes, they are. Are Austin and Robinson better than Quincy Morgan? Yes, they are. So this is probably the deepest top 4 I've ever seen on our team, and really excited to see. And especially like Omar Khan going out and grabbing Robinson for essentially nothing from the Rams just because they wanted to get rid of his contract. And this guy's just a phenomenal player. Sick catch radius. Will do all the tough things. Will block. Will be a leader in the room. Like, I'm just super psyched. Plus, he's a Penn Stater, so I'm super happy about that. Miles, I want him to stay. I understand that. Everybody has favorites. Didn't Snell go to the line? Yes. I'm sorry. I thought he went to the Colts, but yes, you can correct me. He went to the Lions. Yes. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I miss those blue teams. Always throw me up there in the Midwest. Chico Man, welcome back to the show. Chico Man, good to hear from you. Do the Steelers keep 4 tight ends? Yes. Okay. Stopping it there only because we don't have a fullback. We're not keeping an official fullback on the roster. I was thinking the Steelers may try to stash Kendrick Green as a backup interior offensive lineman, utilize him at fullback, but you can always still utilize Connor Hayward at fullback as well. So we'll have to see how that works out. So yes, we are keeping all 4 of those guys. None of those guys are going to leave anywhere because they're too talented, all of them. Brian Brown, that was me. I admit it. I thought the Steelers were nuts for releasing Roche the first time. I know, Brian, we had these conversations. And I said, but he came back, and still, it looks like he's going to get cut again. But this time, Steeler Nation is not going to be as upset, are we? Are we? No. We might get a little upset when he gets poached off the roster, especially when hindsight might come in if we have an injury to one of the top 4 guys. Oh, we should add Rochelle on the practice squad. Well, if we didn't give him a roster spot and somebody else in the league wants to give him a roster spot, I'm happy for Roche getting paid. That's what I want out of my boy. So we creep by the Falcons. I love that. That does look like a donut hole, doesn't it there, John? Welcome to the show. Thank you for the take. Miles, speaking of left tackle, how do you think Broderick is doing? He's been getting a ton of snaps. He's been looking really good with the occasional bumps here and there. Fantastic. I think he's been looking as good as you can look as a rookie left tackle in this league, because outside of corner, I think it's probably the toughest position for a rookie to step into as an instant starter in this league. Quarterback as well. Quarterback, corner, left tackle. Trenches aren't as tough on rookies. Running backs, not tough at all for rookies. Tight end, not as well. Receivers, they're born to be receivers. Safeties, yeah. Those are the positions. Cornerback, left tackle, I think are the toughest. Quarterback, all 3 of those positions are the toughest positions for a rookie to play. He's been doing great. Problem is, Moore's been doing better. Moore's been getting better every year. I've watched him from year to year to year to year. He's getting better. The trouble with it isn't that Broderick Jones isn't good enough to start. The problem is Moore has been getting better and has 3 years of experience on Broderick Jones. Now, Broderick Jones his uptick's going to be a lot higher than Moore because he's so much bigger. The only way I see Jones getting on the field right now is if we have an injury to Moore or we have an injury to Chooks. Moore's going to go play right tackle. Broderick Jones will be our left tackle. That's the only way I see Broderick Jones starting on the Steelers. And for me, I even said this at the draft, guys. I don't care if Broderick Jones plays a snap this year. The guy has the potential to be a perennial all-pro player. We forget, Steeler Nation. Mike frickin' Webster, Iron Man of the Pittsburgh Steelers, did not play center for the first 2 years of his career. He did not win those first 2 Super Bowls. That was Ray Mansfield, who should be in the Hall of Fame as well. Ray Mansfield, phenomenal center. He waited. His moment came in, was one of the best centers to ever line up in the NFL. Consensus across every team, every pundit, every coach. Mike Webster might be the greatest center to ever play the game, but Ray Mansfield was a phenomenal center as well, and he had to wait a couple years before it was his time, and he had to watch Ray Mansfield snap in those 2 Super Bowls before he got to go out and snap and win 2 Super Bowls on his own. Interesting things to think about. So that's why, to me, if Broderick Jones doesn't play a snap this season, I don't care. Doesn't matter at all. He's on the team. He's a first-round draft pick. We get 5 years out of that first-round draft pick. So we get 4 more years of this guy to become a starter, play hard, and play well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's what I want. Brian, could Rodney Williams take Zach Gentry's roster spot? I don't think so. Brian. I mean, there are things to like about Rodney Williams. I think he's a good blocker as well. But I don't think he's taken Gentry's roster spot just because Gentry's established. Gentry's a really, really good blocker. Gentry can probably get us a little bit more plays downfield as well. As long as we're not doing screens with Gentry anymore. And I think with the talent that we have now at tight end, we can do them to Connor Hayward. We can do them to Washington. We can do a Freiermuth. We don't need to do them to Gentry anymore. Take that out of the playbook there, Matt. Or nobody's falling for it. Taco Bell meal for champions. Hell yes, it is. Jeremy Stevens. I remember that guy. Stryker, I need your thoughts on Pickens' crazy catch in training camp. That you're talking about the one probably that he had on Joey Porter Jr., actually filmed in real time by our editor at Steeler Nation, Brandon. Brandon Walls. Yeah, Brandon Walls. Brandon Wall. So B Wall was out there with he actually recorded it, got film on it. It went viral. Unfortunately, it went viral on somebody else's account because they stole it from him. 1 million and some views. But That was SteelerNation.com. We got that footage. We showed Steeler Nation how cool that catch was. Amazing catch. Joey Porter Jr. did nothing wrong. That was amazing defense by Joey Porter Jr. That was just an example of how athleticism can beat out a perfect defense. It happens in the NFL. We see it, and that's what makes plays so exciting. Athleticism can beat out perfect defense. It's just something that now we're on the other side of it. We've got an athletic player. We got athletic players all up and down this board, but the most athletic of them by far in the receiver room is George Pickens. And that catch was absolutely sick house. It might be better than the Browns catch from the game that they always keep showing. But I want to see him start to do that consistently in games. He had a great catch down the sideline, as well as Cooley said earlier, too, on the show. Love it. Absolutely love to see that out of the guy. Lamar Jackson can kiss it. Absolutely. After fully dismantling the Bills' first team in all three phases, I'm fully confident in this team. Me too. Because Bills they're a seasoned team. They should have came out of the blocks a lot better than they did. They play us well in Pittsburgh. They beat us in Pittsburgh when we had Duck as the starting quarterback last time we played him in Pittsburgh. This time, not so much. Miles, Highsmith didn't even make the top 100 players. What's the NFL bias against? The NFL bias isn't about him being a top 100 player. The NFL bias was against not having him being a Pro Bowl player. You go ahead and look at everybody that made the Pro Bowl. Who's got more sacks? Who's got more tackles for losses, and forced fumbles than Highsmith that made the Pro Bowl last year? Like, especially without TJ Watt on our freaking team. He was our outside linebacker. Still got 13 sacks. I mean, they were doubling him because we didn't have TJ. He was still getting to the quarterback. That's what I love about that guy. He is the most underrated outside linebacker in the NFL. Another reason why he's not a top 100 player, because his production is definitely top 100 player status. Easily top 100 player status. Robert, Paul is left tackle, only 2 pressures given up last season, but no sacks. But maybe he could flip to the right side, or maybe Jones could. I tell you one thing, though, Robert, probably want to keep Jones at left tackle just from his sheer size. I don't know how Paul's size lines up in athleticism. I know Houston is a smaller school also. Not on the school at all, because you definitely put out big guys like Bill's interior defensive lineman. Geez, why is his name slipping my head? Great player there as well. Came out of University of Houston. Good player. And now starting to put up good stats for them too. So, don't want to move Jones out of the left tackle spot, to tell you the truth. Hugh, so I finally draw good tags for this hunting season. Deer, elk, and turkey, and the Steelers and Pens decide to get good. It's just rude. Hey, don't hunt on Sundays. That's all I can tell you, Hugh. You go out, do your hunting on Saturdays. Come on back and watch the game on Sunday, my friend. Or turn off your phone, hunt on Sunday morning. Come on back and make sure you catch the replay on your TV, because sometimes I got to do that as well. Miles, Edmonds is a likely target to get cut from the Eagles. Ugh. I would feel badly if Edmonds got cut from the Eagles. Really, I seriously would feel badly for him, because he's done. If Edmonds gets cut from the Eagles, he is done in this league. Nobody else is going to pick him up, because the league severely undervalues safeties, and Edmonds is not athletic enough to get picked up by another team. Team like athletic safeties will get picked up and picked up later. But a guy like Edmonds, who's just a guy, probably not going to come back. That's a sad thing to hear. If he does get cut, we'll have to watch that. Edmonds is a ship that has sailed. Time to move on from. I was trying to sail on from Edmonds 3 years ago. I was all, I hate to be the guy with the writing on the wall, and to ever root against Pittsburgh Steeler players. There's very, very few Steeler players that I've actively rooted against. Really didn't even root against Edmonds. Just when his contract was up, I didn't want him back. 2 years ago, at the price point he came back for, it was a no-brainer, especially if he's going to be a starter for $3 million a season, as opposed to paying his 5th-year option at $6 million a season. made good financial sense, worked out for us financially. On the field, it didn't work out for us at all. More talent. And the only reason why it didn't work out for us was because DeMonte Casey got injured going into last season. I had Casey projected as beating out Edmonds for the starting strong safety slot going into the season, breaks his arm in 3 places, going into the first or in the last preseason game, is out for half the year. Comes back, first game he starts, gets an interception, knocks a guy out. That Casey, I love Casey. Absolutely love, and that's a playmaker. Edmonds just isn't a playmaker. I don't fault Edmonds, and I don't hate Edmonds for not being a playmaker. It's another reason why I didn't really hate Jarvis Jones as well. He was a guy. He could tackle. He's not getting to the quarterback. He's going to run past the quarterback every time. Like, not going to get pressures. But I didn't hate the guy. Guys that I hate are like Sean Mahan, a center for the Steelers. Back after we got rid of the centers after Jeff Hardings left the team, we tried to turn Sean Mahan from a guard into a center, like we did with Hasselrig, like we did with Hardings. Didn't work out at all. Guy was a turnstile at center. You thought Kendrick Green was bad at center? Sean Mahan is the worst center I've ever seen in a Steelers uniform. Absolutely worst center I've seen in a Steelers uniform. And like, I was at games, I'd watch Sean Mahan, just watch people run by him every play. It was just absolutely, it hurt my heart to watch the guy on the field. Another guy was Blake, our old cornerback. Looked like he was playing on roller skates every time he was out there on the field, and fell down just about every time. But that was when we were just going through talent, everybody leaving the team. We didn't get Brown that second contract when he left to go to New Orleans, or one of those good corners that went to New Orleans. Evan not been as good after that fact, but that's just what happened there. Bernie, where have I been? Where have you been, Stryker? Where have you been? Well, I've been a lot of places. I've been on vacation, went to Canada for a week. I went to Pennsic out there in Western Pennsylvania for 2 weeks. That was during the first 2 weeks of preseason. PennSicWar.org, if you guys want to check that out. We just all live like we're back in the Renaissance era, and I play as a Celtic bard and just have a blast, have a great time. And then trying to keep my company solvent. We had to shut down my New England office. I'm running 3 offices now by myself, where I had other people running those other 2 offices. And then my other guys running the Atlanta office. So it's just been head down, elbow grease and working, just trying to get through this year. Summers are always busy for an activation company. So we've been pretty slammed up until this week. We got a couple cancellations. I got a cancellation that was supposed to have a big event tomorrow. So it gave me some time. Ed Oliver's the name. Thank you. I knew it was like as O. I know there's an O in my head. I couldn't remember who it was. Thank you. Of course, it's Ed Oliver, number 10 pick in that draft. I remember exactly. Paul will be one of the guys I pimp on Steeler Nation. I think he is taller than Jones, and he is also an athletic left tackle. That's awesome. I'll start looking at his film too. So I'm looking forward to that. Thanks. And I love too, like, guys, I'm over at SteelerNation.com in the football forum. Cooley's a moderator over there, big fan and lover of the Houston Cougars, and he's usually right when he talks about his Cougars coming over to our team. We've had a few of them make our team. Now, one of the receivers a few years ago, I love that guy. A little bit more even so than Taco, to tell you the truth. And that guy's name slips my mind too. But he just should have stayed with the Steelers as opposed to going to the New England Patriots, where he ended up. And it should have came back to our practice squad when we offered to bring him back, because he would have made our team for that run in 2017. Instead, we had to throw out body catcher Hamilton on the frickin' field. Couldn't stand that guy, man. I'm Canadian. Where in Canada? I went to Montreal for a week. We stayed there in Montreal. We took a day trip to Quebec City for one day, and then we took a day trip to Ottawa for one day. And the rest of the days we stayed in Montreal, and it was the Jazz Festival. We got to go to the Jazz Festival the one night. Blast. Had an absolute blast. It's a beautiful city, easy to transit, easy to walk around. Lots of things all over the place. And all 3 of those cities have their own beauty. Checked out the waterfall over there in Quebec City, walked the downtown, or walked the river walk coming down through, and came back up through into town in the fort in Quebec City. And then in Ottawa, got to go to the Parliament building, Senate building. Just the architecture in those cities is like going to Washington, D.C. if you're here in our country, seeing those beautiful old buildings and where they run their governments. It's just great history. It's so fun to be in those cities and and speaking with Canadians, which are great people anyway. And I had an absolute blast. Our whole family had an absolute blast. So I will go back to Canada anytime. I've been to a bunch of places. I've been to Toronto, been to Vancouver, and I'm always willing to go to Canada. Hugh, I used to be in the SCA. Yes, fought in the Burrow Creek Wars. Great times in the 70s and 80s. Awesome, Hugh. It's still going strong. This was Pennsic 50. So it was Sick House this year. There are 12,000 people there this year. So they were hitting their like top numbers, and absolutely, hopefully it restarts this whole resurgence in the SCA again for that, and restarting them back from COVID in their pre-COVID times, because they took a big hit there too. Good to see another SCA member here on the team. Did you have cheesecake in Montreal? No, I did not have cheesecake in Montreal. I did have Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons. Jim Hortons. I'm an idiot. Tim Hortons. I misspeak all the time, guys. This is what I do. Old great hockey player Tim Hortons started a great chain, which is, in my opinion, way better than any Dunkin' Donuts that we have in America. Absolutely, one of the few places I can drink coffee. What's it called? I get a is it called a 2 and 2 or a do and do? The two creams, 2 sugars, coffee, and I loved it. And I don't drink coffee. And wife was getting at me for that every day, and I was drinking it and enjoying it. So good stuff. Yeah, Tim Hortons is a must go to. Good breakfast sandwiches, great donuts, great coffee. That's it. DeMarcus Ayers, there he is. It's crappy. He has attitude. His attitude took him out of the league. He had the talent to stay in this league and be in this league, Robert. I'm with you there. I loved the makeup of the guy. Gets big catches when he got in there, but it's just the way it went for him. He just made some poor decisions down the road, which Le'Veon Bell made some poor decisions down the road too, and finally came out and apologized to Steeler Nation for making poor decisions. Hindsight is 2020. Our friends were trying to tell him at the time, you're making a mistake. Come to the Steelers, sign the contract, finish the year, get a better contract. Nope, I'm just going to sit out the whole year. Did not get paid what he thought he was going to make. Never recouped that money he lost by not playing it all that season, and he's out of the league. So, but I appreciate the apology, Bell. Takes a big man to apologize when you're wrong. Really, it does. And I will never fault you for that. In the moment, back when it happened, I was upset, but I will not be upset for you moving forward ever. You're a Steeler in my heart. Would be fine if you got on a Hall of Honor or came back for a game. I would cheer you. Absolutely. Nice on the Pennsic Wars, right? If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're like, what? And guys, Pennsic Wars is like people in a battlefield, like hitting each other with a sword, like actual like bludgeon swords, like legit bludgeon swords, like hitting the crap out of each other. They got, you got rapier artists, you got people firing bow and arrow, you got trebuchets going off, you got ballistas going off. It's insane watching this stuff. And then I'm on the other side. We're down in the bog, which is around this lake, where that's the party area. This place does not stop partying the entire 2 weeks it's there. So I was up to see the sunrise, I think 4 of the nights of the 2 weeks that I was there. I was up partying until the blue, which is what we call it when the sky starts turning blue again. Just had an absolute blast. And you just travel to different camps, and they all have different parties going off, different theme parties all throughout the camps. And it's just so much fun. It's my second year in a row. I'll be going back again next year. How many D-line do we keep? Personally, we usually keep 6. That's normally what we keep. 4 defensive ends, 2 nose tackle. I know Kazora keeps putting out that we're keeping 7. I just do not see the Steelers keeping 3 nose tackle. I really don't. I got to disagree with Kazora there. And that's when we start to talk. It's like Adams might be the odd man out. With Fehoko doing well, Benton being the rookie and being talented, athletic, and making plays in both phases, pass phase and run phase, he's going to be a starter on this defense soon. Soon. Really love the guy. And we're in a situation, too, where we brought in guys like LaRaven. And, guy's a great – he was a good tackle in this league. He's not going to make this team. No chance of making this team. We're going to get a little bit more cap space when he gets dropped. But that's just the way it is. Robert Taburo, way to see you, my friend. Yep, I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Stryker's back. Tell your friends. Yeah, I'm back. I'm slighter. I'm much lighter too. I am nearly down to my target weight of 169 pounds. I weighed myself today at a svelte 170. One more pound to go for my target weight. We'll see where I'll go from there. But Penzic War, I'm walking 5 miles a day. I'm eating 2 meals a day, 1 to 2 meals a day. Just we had the best chef in all of Penzic in our camp at the outpost. Excellent meals. So I was always making sure to be there for brunch and dinner every day. And then I'm walking 5 miles a day. So I dropped 10 pounds that week, even though I drank profusely at night. Did not eat solids at night, but I drank whiskey and mostly seltzers. A little bit of beer. If I went to other camps, a lot of camps brew their own beer, and they had phenomenal. There's this one place called the Octo Bar, and they had like a chocolate mince porter. Phenomenal. Blueberry sour was phenomenal. They had a golden lager, was phenomenal. These guys this is what they do. One of them has a brewery over at Chalkman. They have a brewery. I went up to Chalkman, and they gave me one of their beers out of a can, and it was a phenomenal lager. Like, usually I don't like lagers at all, but it had a lot of body to it. Really good lager, and it's something I'd actually seek out to drink. So yeah, it's always good fun. Slid in while still August, just barely, just under the gun, Robert. America runs on Duncan. Yep, Canada runs on Jim Hortons. Bernie, those have the world's best cheesecake. Timmy played for the Leafs. Yep, I'm from Toronto. Awesome. Oh, Toronto's beautiful. I love Toronto. I'd like to see more of Ontario. I mean, I got to see Quebec as well, or not Quebec, but Ottawa also being in Ontario. So I've at least been to Toronto and Ottawa for Ontario. Would love to see more. I would love to get off the beaten path, get off of the highway, the main highway, cross-country highway, and then start going up north and checking out more of the beautiful countryside, because it's just an absolutely gorgeous country, absolutely beautiful people. So, Bernie, thank you for being one of the beautiful people here on the show, too. Thank you for being one of the Steeler Nation Canucks. Miles Stryker, my birthday just passed. Happy birthday, Miles. Miles, how's your medic job going, man? We all want to hear about that, too, honestly. Big 21. You can drink now. Wow, I didn't think they make you a medic before you could drink. You got a tough job, man. You got to drink after you're done working. Lev Bell can piss off. We can all have our opinions on Lev Bell. I don't have hate in my heart for Lev Bell anymore. Antonio Brown, yes, because he's an immature idiot asshole. I have no love for Antonio Brown. Loved him as a player. Thought was one of the best. Probably the most athletic wide receiver to ever put on a black and gold uniform for the Steelers. Easily. But I don't care about him now. Robert, backup center will probably be Herbig with your boy Kendrick Green cut. Like I said, he should have been last year, but will either be two of the versatile young backup centers make up the 53. Yeah, we were talking about Anderson. I had Caleb on the show too from 3 Point Podcast on SteelerNation.com as well. He does that with former Steeler offensive lineman Derwin Gray, D Gray now, from Maryland. And yeah, we were talking about that exact same thing. We're thinking Spencer Anderson's going to be making this team as the backup on the roster because he can play all 5 positions. But yeah, hindsight's always 2020, and you never know who you're going to get in drafts and free agency. We ended up bringing in a lot of better players to push. And so if we're pushing a guy like Kendrick Green off the roster, or if we end up getting a draft pick out of him because we started him today, that's what we also talked about at the top of the show, Robert. We might get a draft pick out of that guy. If we get a draft pick out of that guy, any draft pick, anything, 7th rounder, I'm fine with that. As long as we get something, that'd be awesome. Duncan sucks. Shipley's out of Houston is way back. I don't even know what Shipley's is. You're speaking to a small room. Bernie, that sounds like fun. The Wards, I mean, they're a blast. Absolutely a blast. Then there's plus a ton of vendors, ton of awesome food, like up in the eating area. Like you can buy just about anything. You can get great garb. And then the most beautiful thing about Penzic is the camps. Everybody's camp is unique and has a unique either landmark or the way they decorate the front of it or the way they put up their cloth boundaries and their linens. It's just gorgeous. You can't explain it. You got to walk through there and actually see what it's like. Because there's a place that brings a pirate ship every year, and they have like these huge like wars, the Fae against the pirates, and they throw these straight out glow sticks and just throw them everywhere. and everybody throwing it back and forth off the pirate ship back down into the crowd. It's a blast. My daughter was playing in that and had a blast doing that too. So it was really, really, it's just a spectacle. The place is an absolute spectacle. Watching the opening ceremonies where all the houses march in, and with all the warriors that are going to be competing in the war. It's this absolute spectacle. Great music all over the place. I'm a bard. I got to play a bunch of bardics. I got to meet a couple of the master bardics, and win their appreciation as well, and got some tokens and stuff from them. So they appreciated my music too a bit, and it's just a blast. It's a party. It's fun. And it's unlike anything else you're ever going to do. It's something I highly, highly recommend if you're looking to have a week or 2 weeks to go off and do something. And if you're going to do 1 week out of the 2 weeks, do the second week. Come in the middle weekend and do the second week, because the war week is always way more going on than the first week. And there's Fizzball, one of the best sporting events I've ever been to. That doesn't, you got to Google Fizzball, Fizzball. You throw, it's essentially like baseball rules. You got a specific bat. You get 3 pitches or 3 cans. They're throwing cans of beers at you. 3 swings of a can. You're trying to split the can in half. If you split the can in half, you get 2 points, I think. If you hit the can, you get like 1 point. If the can drops right in your pad, you're out. So you got to hit it. You got to move it. And people just get drunk and watch Fizzball, and it's insane. It's absolutely an insane sport. And if you watch it, if they got anything up on YouTube, and people like do style points, like they'll strip naked, drop their kilts, whatever's going on. It's insane. Like women, men, everybody, all sexes, all ways of identifying the people, and all their the ways that they do it. It's just so fun. It's just such a fun event, and it's only there. If Tomlin goes with Herbig as the only designated backup center, we still have both starting guards who both have NFL starting center experience. You're exactly right. Great point, Timburo. That's an excellent point. In that case, both the new young backup centers we want on practice squad, but would you waste another practice squad spot on your guy Kendrick Green? I wouldn't be against Kendrick Green being on the practice squad, to tell you the truth, Robert. I don't know if that's the way we're going. I think the Steelers are honestly trying to trade him. Just from the way they utilized him tonight, just on the way they've shown that he can also be a fullback. Like, he's got some trade value. We scored 2 touchdowns with him in there at center tonight. So, well, I think we're trying to boost his trade value here right before cutdown day. Bernie, agree on AB. Exactly. Q, are you looking for any high quality cuts from the other teams to fill any needs for us? Or are you good with what we have? Think about the team right now. What hole do we need to fill? We're 2 deep at slot corner. We're 3 deep at corner. Maybe we can bring in a 4th corner to be better. I like Pierre as a 3rd. Or I think like Pierre is the 4th. Yeah. Because we have Wallace, Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., Pierre. Those are my 4 guys. I'm happy with those. I'm happy with the safeties. Whether it's Killebrew or Robinson as that last safety, it doesn't matter. The top 3 are going to get playing time. Outside linebackers, set. Inside linebackers, 5 deep. Defensive line, you're going to make tough decisions there. Offensive line, we're going to have to make tough decisions on the backups. Maybe you could improve. I don't even see really improving the guard positions now. If it's a 6 center that fell out, maybe we bring that guy in. But outside of that, tight end, you're not going to replace a tight end. You're not going to replace a wide receiver. You're not going to replace a running back. Not going to replace a quarterback. So really, the only spot I would see would be the 2 middle spots on both sides of the defense if a sick nose tackle or 6 center drop. But I love the upside of Fehoko and Bennett. Both those guys I think can play. So I'm happy with them. And they're probably going to push Adams off this roster, who was our starter last year. Same thing with Kendrick Green getting pushed off this roster, who was a starter 2 years ago. Really, really interesting stuff. So that's the only thing I can see right now making this team better is a upper echelon center. So that might be our draft pick. We talked about that at the top of the show. We might go center in the first round next year if we can find a sick athletic center that is first round draftable. That'd be interesting. How'd you hear about them? Hear about what? What if you're talking about Penzig? My brother's a blacksmith, and I always went to Penzig, if that's who you're talking about. Yeah, so he always went to Penzig. His wife died, and then I went with him for the first time after the year after his wife died, and then just now I'm going back. Hugh, there are good YouTubes for Penzig and Burrito Creek Wars. Awesome. Yeah, you got to check those out, guys. Yeah, Hugh is right. Check out Penzig Wars at YouTube. No one is giving anything for Green. What do you have? Heavy LSD diet to lose that 10 pounds? Because you're totally tripping if you think any team would give the 70 for Green. Actually, I'm not tripping at all. I did not trip this year at Penzig. I honestly say that. Year before, I can't say the same thing, but this year, past year, definitely did not trip. In fact, they wouldn't take a 7 to waste a 53 spot on him. We'll see. We'll see who's right here. Yeah, they would need to keep him. Yeah, maybe. They need to. Yeah, I don't think. I see. I can go either way on Green because Green is still position flexible. He could still play center or guard and fullback. I just don't think his upside is as good as maybe a younger guy like Spencer now on the team that the team seems to really like. So we'll have to see how that goes. If they keep Green on the practice squad, then that'd be 3 centers on the practice squad too. How many for one position, right? Sorry, I forgot. He's also a guard, man. He's an IOL, interior offensive lineman, man. They stopped making him a center 2 years ago, but I'm finally glad they started doing it. Yes, to Penzig. Yeah. It was my brother. My brother turned me onto that. And he was trying to get me out for years before that, and I should have gone. And it shouldn't have taken a tragedy in the family for me to go my first time, but I absolutely love it. Our next draft will be about replacing guys who are looking for a big payday on their second contracts. Like, I'm trying to think of guys who are even up next year. Like, our core is set. Peterson's locked for another year. Highsmith got a new contract. TJ's locked. Interior guys we just picked up on 2-year contracts. There might be a couple guys on a 1 year. I have to look here. Let me look at my spreadsheet right here. I'll see who's on a 1-year contract here at inside linebacker. 3 years for Holcomb. He's on a 3-year contract. Landon Roberts is on a 2-year contract. Tanner Muse 1-year contract, but he might not make the team. And then we still have Robinson on his rookie contract. So those are the guys. Those guys are locked as well. Defensive line, Okunjobi. Okunjobi, we re-signed to a 3-year contract. So we got him locked down for another 2 years. This guy's going to be on the team for a while. I think Hayward's got 2 more years on his contract. Peterson's got another year. I already talked about him. So nobody on defense is up. Fitzpatrick's re-signed. Let's look at the new safeties that we re-signed as well. Keanu Neal signed a 2-year contract, so he's got him for 2. KZ on there so all these guys are signed. Our entire starting defense is signed for next year. No moves on defense next year. Offense. Think about that side. I just looked up Chooks. He's got another year left on his contract. Another year on Moore's rookie contract. And then the new guys that we brought in here. Let's see how Samalu has signed a 3-year contract, 2 more years out of him. Nate Herbig's got another year left on his contract. He signed a 2-year contract. LaRaven only signed a 1-year contract, but it looks like he's not making the roster. So those are the guys. Those are it. And then we got rookie contracts. So offensive line, no. Tight ends, nope. Zach Gentry might be up next year, but with us drafting Washington, we're probably not going to need to re-sign him. Don't need to replace him either. Same thing with the running backs. Warren's on a rookie contract. Najee's on a rookie contract. McFarland's on a rookie contract. So those guys are still locked in for another year. Wide receivers. DJ signed for it. He's got another year left because he re-signed. He's giving us the big price break of $13 million a year. Pickens is a rookie. Robert Robinson. Let's see what he signed on. 2-year contract. So he's got another year. Robinson is here for another year. Austin's on his rookie contract. He got another 2 years left here for restricted free agency. So we got Kenny Pickett locked. Just re-signed Trubisky to a new contract. Guys, nobody's moving. We've got no movement on this roster for next year. So it's like Next draft, we're drafting depth, guys. We're drafting depth and maybe for people to replace for the following year. But yeah, like I think Cole might be up next year. So center is going to be a priority. Cornerbacking, you never have too many corners, offensive or defensive linemen. Those are the guys we're going to be drafting next year. And it's not going to be a need draft at all. It's going to be a BPA draft for us next year. Might even draft a quarterback. I have no problem with Green. I really, I can go either way. If he gets cut, don't care. If he stays, don't care. But I'm sorry with the way he has not stepped up in the recent. Spencer Anderson has way better chance of making the 53 than Green. Yeah, we said that at the top of the show. Definitely in there as well. Can we just start the season next week? I know, please. I wish it was next weekend. No, we got to wait 2 weeks. Dumb. 7 D linemen seems reasonable given the talent, but your boy Martavis Adams probably got to go on practice squad along with Loudermilk to get down to 6 defensive linemen. Well, yeah, it's either going to be Loudermilk or Watts is the choice, and then trying to bank one of them on the practice squad. Same thing with Adams. Yeah, that would be it. Those would be my calls too, Robert. I agree with those completely. Bernie, Loudermilk deserves 1 more year at least. That's why I think he's going to beat out Watts. Personally, if you're holding my feet to the fire, Bernie, I think Loudermilk's making this roster. Watts is going to be our practice squad player. That's just me personally. Gentry should not be cut, but instead be a third tight end and put Cam's little brother there where he belongs as an H-back. Cam's little brother's going to play everywhere. Cam's little head's going to play everywhere on this defense. Little Ironhead, little Steelhead. We'll call him Steelhead. We should call him Steelhead. I like, especially if he plays fullback. We'll start calling him Steelhead instead of Ironhead, like his dad was Ironhead Hayward. If any of you guys are too young to remember Ironhead Hayward, big running back for the New Orleans Saints, among other teams. Great, just bruiser at a running back. Is the father of Cam Hayward and Connor Hayward. Bertie, listening to your analysis of the roster shows Khan is the man. Khan and Andy Weidel have actually, they've showed me this year that it was time. It was time for a change at GM. And I love Kevin Colbert. Absolutely love Kevin. I've got a t-shirt of The Godfather being like the general manager, and I wear that on some of these shows. Absolutely love what he's done, but it was time. Your time's done. 20 years, it's time to retire. Get on with your life's work, as Noel used to say. And I absolutely love that. And the best nickname ever, Hugh, the Con Artist. And that is it, guys. I've been on for like an hour and a half tonight. I mean, it's my first show back, so of course I'm a little excited. Got to stay on a little bit later with you guys. Love chatting with you. Love all the great input, ideas everybody has here on the show, because that's what makes the show go around, guys. I'm going to be back a little bit more consistently. You'll usually see me on Tuesday nights more consistently during the season. That's usually when I try to run my show. Might try to do a Q&A then also another time during the week. We'll see how that works out. Or just try to do a shorter podcast like I used to do in previous seasons. But we'll have to see once I speak with the higher-ups within Steeler Nation. We'll figure out how this is going to work out. But, guys, thank you so much for joining us again for the post-game show, bringing in your great words of wisdom, your analysis, helping me think a little bit more. And that's the way it goes. And Robert, I'll finish off with you. Okay, Stryker, now that we got our niceties out of the way, hey, I'm going to call you out for telling us there will be no more vet free agents brought in when I assured you there would be multiple. Hindsight's always 2020, my friend. But yeah, I can give you the nod on that one. And I'm happy to. I was just surprised with the way our salary cap this year. And I talked about that a little earlier on the show too, Robert, before you joined. It was that the salary cap was so big last year. I expected all the moves. We actually made more moves this year, which was insane. I was not expecting. I'll tell you the exact amounts. You want to hear the numbers? Because I tracked it. Here are the numbers from this year. 43.82 million spent this year on free agents. Total contract value, 144.86 million over the contracts for those players brought in. Those 16 players. So those, not 16, 24 players we brought in free agency. Some of them are going to get cut. Some of it get restructured. But right now, as we sit with everyone on the roster, 144.88 million we brought in, nearly 145 million total for the contracts this year.
$44 million counting on this year's contract. I could not believe they can make that kind of space. That's how good Omar Khan is. That's how good Andy Weidel is. And it was time. Absolutely time. And it made your analysis come true. Steelers pulled a dozen free agents since you told us there would be none. Yeah, but they weren't as good as the ones they got before that moment. Because I've got the list. I mean, the other guys they brought in after that were like, Allen Robinson was not a free agent. He was a trade, just so you guys know. So that one doesn't count. You're talking about like depth guys: Tanner Muse, Brandon Mann, punter, Miles Boykin, Chandon Sullivan, Mason Rudolph, Luke Barco, Manny Jones, Dylan Cook, Marcus Golden. Those are the guys. A lot of them not making this team. So if you want to be right in that respect, you are. But I was right that we wouldn't bring an impactful free agent in at that moment from that point on, but we still made those moves. We made sure we spent that money in free agency. And I do like that. I really do. Peace out. Love you. Love you. I'll see you over there. See you soon, my friend. Shut the hell up. Yeah. What's your SCA persona? I'm a Catholic bard. I go by the name of Seamus Kennedy over there at the Outpost. I'm the bard of the Outpost. I travel a lot, play a lot of places, go play Vlads. I go and play the Hoity Toity and Lodi Toady. Go up and play the Spring Hills over to the tavern many times at the Bardics over there as well. Absolutely love it. Had a great time the entire time. I'm broke the entire time as well. So yeah, that's what I do. They better be Evan and Quan. Yeah, right, baby. Quan playing great. So you can't say they aren't. But yeah, no, I love Quan. I'm with you on that one. 100%. 100%. I love you, Rob. You know that, man. Semantics, always. All right, guys, that's all the time I got on my show. I got to ease down, finish my drinks. Till the next time, my friends. And I'm so excited to have so many of my friends back here and seeing you guys because it's been too long. You guys always pick me up so much, and I love talking Steelers with all of you guys. So until the next time, it is me. Oh, Hugh, I got one last thing. Hugh's going to close it out with me tonight. I'm Lord Evan the Wanderer, hailing from Barony of Khalifa, Kingdom of Cade. Are you up in the Serengeti? Are you up in the plains? Are you down in the bog? I'm trying to remember where that is because, like, I know we're technically Atlantis or Atlantia, but we don't. The Outpost is like a conglomeration. We're a lot of merchants actually at the Outpost. We work a lot, like a lot of people from Son of Sandlar are in our place. A lot of people from Feargal Blades. That's where my brother works. A lot of people in leather shop right there too, up behind the Cooper store. So we got a lot of merchants in our camp, but we're a hospitality camp. We put on a lot of good parties. We were trying to put on 4 this year. We put on 3, and that was it. I was in SoCal at the time. I got you. Cade broke from the Kingdom of the West. Nice. I remember when there were 3 You're right. There were 3. Yeah, that's all. I don't, but there's 2 now. All right, guys, that's all the time I got on the show. I will see you soon. But until next time, I'm Steeler Nation Striker at Steeler Nation on all my social media platforms. I know I got Tickety Talk, I got Twitter, I got Instagram. I know I haven't been active on any of them lately. Going to be a little bit more active now. I know I was active on X. That's X. It's not Twitter anymore. Thanks, Elon. X. So I'll see you guys soon. Fought with Drawn and awesome, man. Cool. But until the next time, guys, I am your host, Steeler Nation Striker, rooting along with you as always. Go Steelers! Oh, now I got to end the